Donald Trump is just days away from having his bank accounts seized, his properties seized and sold, because he apparently doesn't have the funds to post a bond in the E. Jean Carroll defamation case and the New York Attorney General civil fraud case, despite Donald Trump's lawyer, Alina Habba, saying that he's so wealthy and so rich, there will be no problem posting the bond. Donald Trump, of course, has been filing documents saying that this is an exigent circumstance, that he needs some sort of relief or else he's going to have to sell off his properties because he doesn't have the funds to post a bond. So over the weekend, this is what Donald Trump has been posting. And then let's compare them kind of one by one. Here's what Trump is posting and doing. Here's what President Biden is doing. Because as President Biden has said before, don't compare me to the almighty, compare me to the alternative. First, Donald Trump's post. Crooked New York State Judge Arthur Engoron, at the demand of an even more crooked Attorney General, Letitia James, despite great and very conservative financial statements with full disclaimer clause that Engoron refuses to acknowledge, ruled that I should pay an exorbitant fine despite doing nothing wrong. The only fraud was Engoron's valuation of Mar-a-Lago for a tiny fraction of what it is really worth. No crime, no victim, only profits and success, a total miscarriage of justice, companies fleeing New York, exclamation point. I mean, by the way, these aren't even complete sentences. And the same way he talks about this, he talks about Stormy Daniels, right? He calls her horseface, no affair. He goes horseface, no affair, no romantic relationship, or whatever he says. And these are the rantings and ravings of a lunatic. I won't belabor the point, but the valuation that Justice Arthur Engoron confirmed is Donald Trump's valuation for Mar-a-Lago, because Donald Trump wanted to pay less property taxes. So he's the one who classified Mar-a-Lago as a commercial property, as a club, and not a residential property when it came to tax appraisal. So if Trump were to have said Mar-a-Lago is a residential property and not taken in dues as a club, it probably would be worth $350 to $400 million. Certainly not $1.8 billion, but Engoron didn't come up with the valuation. Engoron simply said, this is what you stated the valuation was. But of course, why would facts matter to Donald Trump and MAGA? Here's President Biden's post. In the face of relentless attacks on reproductive freedom by Republican elected officials, Vice President Harris and I will continue to fight to defend the Food and Drug Administration's independent and evidence-based approval and regulation of mifepristone. Actually talking about a policy that is important to the American people. President Biden's not spending his time whining and complaining and moaning and saying, woe is me, the Republicans have a witch hunt. And by the way, the Republicans do. They are going after his son for drug addiction and things having nothing to do with anything, while Jared Kushner gets paid $3 billion from the Saudis and Qatar and UAE and actually had influence over policies despite not being able to get a security clearance, whereas what President Biden, when he was not the president, gave Hunter Biden like a $4,000 loan. But Biden doesn't spend his time saying, no interference, no nothing, just a loan, exclamation point. No, he's like talking about real things. Here's what President Biden writes next. My administration will always choose progress over politics, and we're building a safer America because of that. Donald Trump's post, all in caps. Where did Fani get all that cash? No, why she paid her lover, prosecutor Nathan Wade back? She made up the cash story when she realized that her sexcapades were paid for by the people of Georgia. Again, where's the cash and where did it come from? The fact is, there was no cash paid. That was just an excuse she made up after she got caught. The case can't be closed until this is determined. In any event, they were lovers and friends long before this witch hunt was started. They wanted money and fame, worked with Biden's DOJ, spent days with them in D.C., and going after Crooked Joe's opponent, me, terrible stuff, exclamation point. This case must be dropped, a great embarrassment to Georgia. No, the great embarrassment to Georgia and our justice system is that this carnival environment was created in the Fulton County Superior Court, where rather than address whether or not there was a conflict of interest, it went into this lurid excursion about when was the first time Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis had relations with Nathan Wade. The question is, was there a conflict of interest? That's what the focus should have been about. And does anybody have personal knowledge of that, which nobody did? It's nothing to do with sex, this or that, but in any event, you, Donald Trump, were the one who paid over $100,000 on multiple occasions to try to cover up the few seconds of sex you had with a porn star and somebody else. You even had catch and kill schemes, and then you falsified your financial records. I mean, and then you're on tape bragging about sexually assaulting women. You're an adjudicated rapist. And so that's kind of what I'm concerned about, that the Republican Party wants you as their leader, not a consensual relationship amongst successful professionals. But the reality is that you and the MAGA Republicans think that this is an important issue because Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis is a powerful black female prosecutor. But let's take Donald Trump's other post. Bill Maher is the worst. He never got it and never will. Bad ratings, a big fail on CNN shot, major case of Trump derangement system, not worth the watch. I mean, do we, the people, care that Donald Trump doesn't like Bill Maher? Why is that the focus? And the same way on all of his speeches, if you even want to call them that, they're traveling fascist circus events where he doesn't even put together sentences anymore and kind of garbles words together and brags about cognitive exams and how much he loves the J6 insurrectionists. But compare that, what Donald Trump just said, to here's what President Biden posted. We're the most diverse country in the world. That's why we're strong. Trump is threatening our very democracy, and we have to make clear that we will stand with the truth and defeat the lies. Here's what President Biden posts. The bipartisan border security agreement was on its way to being passed. Then Donald Trump came along and said, don't do that. It'll hurt my election chances. That's a hell of a way to do business in America for such a serious problem. It's time to act. And President Biden says, I will continue to call on Congress to pass the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act so we can make police reform the law of the land. And notice what President Biden is talking about is bipartisan solutions. What President Biden is saying here is, look, the Republican senator from Oklahoma, James Lankford, led bipartisan negotiations on the border, where I agreed to a Republican wish list on border security measures, and we made sure as the Democratic Party that we would make sure that this was implemented in a humane way that respects the dignity of human beings and not to demean and belittle and otherize people simply because they're from another country, but to have the toughest border provisions in American history. We gave you the wish list. But then you, Donald Trump, and you brag about it in your speeches, told your MAGAs in the House, like MAGA Mike Johnson, the Speaker, do not even bring this bill up. Kill the bill because you want chaos at the border. Hurting we the people, hurting us, you think is a winning issue, so you can blame our pain on President Biden. You, Donald Trump, think that we, the people, are stupid. You, MAGA Republicans, think we, the people, are stupid. But we, the people, are not the people at your MAGA traveling fascist circus events. Most of us, we don't go to political rallies. We want to spend time with our family. We want to work our jobs. We want to have hobbies. We want to go about our life with love and peace and caring for people. We understand the complexities that exist in relationships and family dynamics, and we understand that we are all flawed. We all make mistakes. We understand these things, and we may not be wearing shirts and bragging about, this or promoting that, but at the end of the day, we're here, and the key thing we care about first and foremost is our democracy. And so I think it's important when you share and show this contrast here. And I could show you more, like Donald Trump saying, the Supreme Court will address the historic issue of presidential immunity. Without it, a president cannot function. When you go up there and say that you believe you can order SEAL Team 6 to kill a political opponent, that is the opposite of what the rule of law is. That is so despicable and disgusting. And we, the people, get it. We know what's up. This channel will continue to grow. The pro-democracy community will continue to grow. We know what's going on here. We do. I'm Ben Meiselas. This is the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 3 million together and have a wonderful day.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.